Everybody knows a co-host, Miss Shaquita Wynn.
Hello,
Welcome, Sister
hello.
Wynn. Hey, everybody knows the illustrious Doc Polite, our executive producer. Doc, how you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm
Hey,
rolling in there.
I like that brim you got going on there, man. And I know you're probably getting endorsements without letting us know, but we're gonna figure that out a little bit later.
No, I wish I could get
You're doing
endorsements.
it. You and Miss Wynn. I know y'all. I'm not offended by y'all having a little something on the side.
Uh,
Hey, but to our listening audience, to our viewing audience, welcome to the sit down. Of course, you know the sit down is bringing you folks that are coming. They're going to come and increase your IQ, but they're also going to provide you information about what they're doing in communities. And if you want to take advantage of it, that's your choice. But we are very, very excited about the guests in the studio with us, as well as having a guest from San Francisco, San Diego, I'm sorry. But I just happened to see this facility in, is that considered Altamont Springs?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so let me not do this backwards. Hey, y'all, it brings me great pride and pleasure to introduce in the studio with us this evening none other than Mr. Robert Henley, and that is the director of Innovus.
Yes,
Did I say it right?
Yes, sir.
And when I tell you this facility is incredible and what they do is incredible, but I'm going to have Mr. Henley tell you, but we are also excited to have his son join us this evening from San Diego. I love to brag about the Florida weather, but, you out there enjoying the sunshine too. Robert the Third. But hey, y'all, welcome to the studio. Welcome to sit down, and we're just looking forward to hearing all the different things that you're doing. But one thing in particular, I love the story that you told me about your son and how you got to this point with these innovations.
Yes.
And so please, once again, thank you for joining the show, and tell our sitting audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Robert Henley, and joining us is my son Robert, and I jumped right into the story. It was the end of the second grade year, the last parent-teacher conference of the year, and attended the meeting, and nothing spectacular. Robert was a class clown, an average student, and the meeting was over. Prayer happened, said, "We're leaving the meeting,"
Right.
and the teacher says, "Oh, by the way, your son just roams around the classroom and disrupts class,
Wow.
and he has ADD." And so I was really upset about that because this is the end of the school year.
Right.
You wait to get to the end to tell me that.
Right. What happened?
And I was always an involved parent, my wife and I, every field trip, coaching, every team, whatever the school needed, we were always there.
Right.
And so I was really upset about that. And my first thought was, as a black man, you're teaching my son that it's okay to disobey civic laws when you allow him to disobey classroom laws,
Right,
and
right.
you don't inform, his authority figures. And so I was really upset about that because we know what time it is.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah, you're right.
And
You're right,
we have
yes.
to make sure that our young people are educated well. And so my wife's a physician, and we ended up putting him on Ritalin that third grade year to try to get him settled down. And we did that because we had no recourse.
Right.
Because as a parent at the school wasn't going to do what they needed to do to make sure that he was doing his thing.
Yep.
And so we said, well, what can we do on our side to make sure that he behaves well in class? And that didn't work. And then we tried the bouncing ball theory, all kinds of things. And so I have a master's in teaching at that time, and I fell back on that and did some research and discovered that Robert had 3 of the 9 multiple intelligence factors. They call multiple intelligence theory. He was a visual spatial learner, kinetic, hands-on, has to move to learn, and likes to talk interpersonal, which is anti to the classroom, which
Right.
is you got to sit still, you can't talk, and do ditto sheets. So those 2 things, like wine and water, or water and sand, they're just not going to mix.
Right.
And so,
But before you go on, because you're saying some things that I don't want to take for granted. And you said he had 3.
right. So Howard Howard Gardner, a Harvard psychologist and specialist. Their featuring what's called the cultural intelligence factor. It's theory that we're all composed of 9 different entities. There's some people like Michael Jordan who's really good at jumping and flying. We can't get into it. And you got some people like Michael who can sing, and I can't. Y'all don't want to hear me sing, right?
Yeah. Do that with you.
And so those people are intelligent in those things.
Right.
And, you know, you have that.
Hey, let me stop you for a second. We having technical difficulties. We're gonna go to a commercial right quick. Okay.
All righty. We'll be right back.
They break, I fix. Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Jaguars and Porsche. Joe's Quality Auto Repair. I specialize in European cars. They break, I fix at Joe's European Quality Auto Repair. Located at 1240 State Road 436 in Altamont Springs. They break, I fix. Call me, mention Let's Talk Nation and bring your certified dealership repair quote. And I beat by 30%. Remember, they break, I fix. Call me at Joe's European Quality Auto Repair at 407-409-6040. Again, 407-409-6040. After they break, I fix. Joe's European Quality Auto Repair.
Make sure they switch it on for some reason.
Unlike my late wife, Shelby King, told her children, that's your daddy, and you're going to respect him. Regardless of the way he's acting now. He messed up, but you're going to respect him. He's on drugs. That's your daddy. You're going to respect him. She refused to allow them to disrespect me. In spite of my carryings on, in spite of what I was doing, she said, that's your daddy. And you're going to respect him.
Amen.
And they did just that.
Amen again.
Tone, that tone thing, the button right above it.
I don't know, look at her. She's a crackhead. Figured she might have a weapon.
What did she try to steal?
I caught her trying to put this under her coat.
Community Resource Connector by CSG. Social services, community policing, and social justice.
Did you try and steal the bread?
My husband sold our link card and I don't have any money. I'm not a drug addict. I just wanted to make my boy a sandwich.
You gonna arrest her or what?
CRC is a real-time resource tool for human service professionals, law enforcement, juvenile justice, child welfare, education, traditional and non-traditional not-for-profits.
How much is the bread?
$1.50.
Now is the time to build new organizational relationships through wraparound services that produce measurable outcomes. Here you go.
Community Resource Connector by CSG, the effective way people help people.
Okay, so there you go. So yeah, that should be it.
Turn it back on the mics.
Right. There we go. All right, guys. We're back. Waiting on Rod to rejoin us real quick. But Robert, go ahead and continue with what you were telling us.
So where do we drop off at?
With the 3 different types.
Okay, so of the multiple intelligence factors that Howard Gardner identified, Robert, his 3 strongest were visual spatial, which is picture smart, seeing in 3D.
Okay.
Kinesthetic, of course, having to move to learn. And then interpersonally, love to talk. That kid loves to talk. And in a traditional classroom, the data tells us that only 2 of the 9 are actually engaged. There's linguistic, which is verbal, and then mathematical, logical. So if your intelligence is not in those 2 areas, you're not engaged
What the teacher
in the classroom.
Just imagine how many.
But let me ask this. I want to ask this. You're in my wheelhouse now. Just to give you, because first of all, Robert the third. I don't know if you go by that. What is your IQ?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Mine is.
Okay, but listen. Okay, and I can relate to that because I was undiagnosed with the same condition for all of my life. I never got diagnosed until I was an adult. But they tried to put me in these classes and stuff, and they were like, "He can't pay attention. He can't do this." But I was a genius. Right. My IQ is 152. Okay, and what? Listen, that's why I do so. That's why. Hey, listen, that's why I have so many wheelhouses, and I can do stuff. And Rod will tell you, I don't do it half-ass at all.
Right.
And so what I found out, even with my own son, black boys are not given the benefit of being geniuses.
Right.
If we don't conform, we are labeled trouble, autistic, and all these other things.
Yep.
So now I got grandkids now, and I refuse to let them. All my grandkids are little geniuses. Yep. I see it in them.
Right.
You know, they all walk before a year. They're very vocal. They're able to follow a thought. And the oldest one is only 11, and I got 8 of them. So all of them are able because of how we engage with them.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is this, and Doc, you can bear witness, and Miss Wynn as well. You and your family, you and your wife knew enough to take it the extra step.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the key. I have been an educator since 1993. This happened 17 years ago. And we had the resources, the financial resources, the time, the knowledge resources to deal with that. And people of color, we completely outsource the education of our children to the public school system. And whatever the teacher says, you the educated one, you went to school, I don't know, and we accept that.
You know, this show is controversial too, right? And I gotta put a controversy in here, Doc. You know, you're right with being blessed to have the resources, but you and your wife did something that a lot of parents don't know. Not necessarily don't know to do, but don't know how to do it, and that is you ask the question.
Oh, sure.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this: the biggest problem is you have teachers in there diagnosing, and they have no business diagnosing. Exactly. That's the biggest thing, and they're going to the school counselor and telling us through. Well, Johnny doesn't sit still. Right. I think he needs to have some type of program.
Right.
And what they're missing is that energy is because what's in front of him is not engaging him.
Right. You know what? We should have had this conversation. I'm looking at Robert III.
He's ready to say something.
And Robert, but it's funny because we're having this conversation, and it's like Robert III is sitting there, and it's like, okay, y'all talk about me. I'm
yeah, but you get to sit in the for some reason the mic is turned off. That mic kicked off again. So, but Robert the third, go ahead and talk. Let's hear what you got to say. Can you identify with what I was talking about?
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing is it's hard for students, especially because I'm not able to think long term like that. I'm very thankful I had my father there who already identified what was going on before I even knew that it was an issue. All I know, I was going to school. I would sit and be bored all day, and the teacher would talk to me about something I didn't understand the importance of. But also, like, a big factor was not being engaged. So, again, like my dad knew I loved to move my hands. I like to see how things work visually and spatially, and I like to talk. So that's why it wasn't, and I know he'll go into it a little more, but it wasn't until I was introduced to robotics, or it was something outside of school, that I was able to learn in that way. So with robots, it was a lot of putting things together, and you come up with an idea in your head, like, oh, I want to build something that does this. So you start with that basic.
So tell me, what is your dominant learning style?
I think it's definitely.
Is it tactile or?
Yeah, tactile or visual.
Tactile. Okay. Yeah.
So I just finished a dual degree program. I majored in applied mathematics and mechanical engineering from.
Rod, hold on. Rod, we can't hear you guys. The microphone. That's what I was telling you. Check on it. But and definitely going into robotics.
Yeah.
That is visual. That is tactile.
Yeah.
And you're engaging that part of your brain, and it's being fed. So it's going to grow like crazy because you're able to focus on the area where your brain functions best.
Hey, Doc, can y'all hear us now?
Yeah, now we got you back. Thank you.
Tell us what textile is,
Huh? Tactile is engaging with your hands, and it's followed. Usually, if you're tactile, you're also visual. And so with those combinations, you're able to harness all of your learning, all of your knowledge in that way. Sitting and listening, like most people, the school system main model is auditory. It's trash. Everybody, most people are not full auditory learners. That's why you get a college course and they only have it for 45 minutes. Anything beyond that attention is gone. They're not going to retain anything. So
let me ask this question. You got this information at the end of the second of Robert III's second grade.
Yeah, at the very end. It was maybe a week was left in school. That's when she told me that. Yeah.
So what happened to the first 3 quarters? No communication?
That's my question. And I was there all the time. Every field trip I was on, I coached this team. I was on the board. I was the student, the parent teacher association leader. I was involved.
Right.
And so that was really alarming to me. Of course, she wasn't a black person. And so that was frustrating for me.
Yes.
So let me ask this question. Now I want to put it in a time sequence here. So then, when they came back and basically said he was attention deficit disorder, you got on medication.
Right.
So what length of time? So now you're going into the third grade.
Yeah. So the beginning of his third grade year, we started him with Ritalin, the medicine to calm him down, and we noticed he wasn't himself.
Right.
He was dumbed down. He wasn't the outgoing kid that he had been. And then it was messing with the stomach, and so we made the decision to take him off the medicine.
Okay.
And we tried other things. There's this theory about a bouncing ball theory. If the kid who has ADD on the big bouncing ball, that calms him down. So there are 24 of the kids in the classroom, and he's the only kid sitting on the bouncing ball. And so that kind of has some stiffness to it.
Right.
That's called stimming.
Yeah, and so it wasn't until the end of the third grade year I came across this flyer that said robotics, and knowing that his learning style was different, I said, that is going to be the key. And so I got together with another parent who's a colleague of mine, and we started an after-school program, a robotics program. We met twice a week after school, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so he had a chance twice a week now to learn with his hand, to build robots, to program the robots.
This is third grade.
Wow.
This is the fourth grade. Yeah. And then he was programming, and I would teach him robot math and robot dynamics, so physics and math. And so he then saw the connection between math and the real problem, using the math of geometry to make the robot move around. And that almost changed his life overnight.
Wow. So where are you now? What's your education now?
Yeah, so I just finished a dual degree program at the Oakwood University. And through completing this program, I received a Bachelor's of Science in Applied Mathematics from Oakwood, and then a Bachelor's of Science in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Alabama, Huntsville. And then,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now Bravo. Wow.
So he graduated from high school with a 4.2 GPA.
Oh,
The day he graduated, 2 of his elementary teachers came up to me and said, "Wow, we thought your son would never do anything in life."
Man.
Oh,
So
prove them wrong.
this is what you need to understand. They had already discounted my son
Yeah.
in the 2nd and 3rd grade.
Yes. Okay, listen.
Okay.
I have a second grader. How can I get her involved in this? Do you have after school? What type of programs do you have?
So we do have after school programs, and we also service homeschool parents and micro school parents at the center. So we have day programming, half day programming, and after school programming.
Okay.
But our innovation is, and Robert and my daughter Ty and my youngest son Brendan helped me to cultivate and craft this. Is called multi-year personalized competency-based education. Meaning we build a curriculum around their passions or interests. And so school becomes exciting because you have to understand the educational system in America was designed after the Prussian model of education, which was by design to create a compliant society.
Yes.
Look up the
Yes.
data, look up the research, look at the list.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The king of Prussia was tired of losing wars to Napoleon. And so he instructed his people to create an educational system that will weed out, independence of people, to make them reliant upon the teacher, make them lose free will. And so Horace Mann went over there, the first education secretary of the U.S., brought that entire system over here because we had the industrial society. We needed people that would stand at a factory and do this all day long. Right? So our educational system was designed to create that workforce, to create people to say, to do what I say.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was financed. Who was it financed by?
Carnegie. and what's the other guy? The railroad, the oil, all those. All those people financed it.
What was the guy? He was the richest person at that time.
Henry Flagler.
Robert,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Let me ask you this: do you recall any of that journey? And I know it's been years, but do you recall any of that journey going through junior high or elementary or high school, and it started to finally click what your dad was engaging you in? Do you remember that journey? And if so, what do you remember about that journey?
Honestly, I would say looking back on it now, I definitely, and I'm also like a little more emotionally intelligent, but realizing, I was frustrated a lot. And that's also what fed into me not paying attention in school because it was just boring. I just didn't I didn't see the importance of why I was here. And again, I think that also highlights what my father was saying about finding passions. I think it's very important to tie your education to something you're passionate about, because at least for me, I'm more willing to learn. But I also, I didn't realize it at the time, but I definitely saw, I just got more passionate about my education, especially in math, with robotics and stuff like that. But it also tied in our robotics team. We had to do a lot of presentations. So I will definitely say growing up, English was not my favorite subject, but that is, probably the most auditorial class that you had at that time. But, learning, I need to be able to communicate the ideas I have to my teammates, or, if I have a great idea, I need to communicate that to investors. So it was in ways like that I was able to see the importance of education again and just get passionate in school again.
Wow. Ms. Wynn, you asked the question about where can you find this at working with Mr. Henley. Yes. That is one of the topics that brought us together from the standpoint of looking at and exploring what can we partner together from in Orange County and to our listening audience that's all over the country. This is something specific that we're trying to partner here in Orlando, Florida, Orange County. Just think about all of those neighborhoods that you have kids that are being labeled, if you would.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, nobody's asking the question, Why? And I mean, don't get me wrong. We got concerned parents that don't want to see anything happen to their child that's not in the best interest of the child. But when you have somebody in a position of authority and they're saying, well, your child needs to be medicated.
Right. You still have to go do your homework.
You're right. You're right. And so Robert, I turn back to you again, and we'll come back with another show to announce what we're going to do together. And we don't know just yet what Orange County community we're going to do this in, but man, when I walk through your facility, I mean, it is incredible. You have kids there, and if you would, talk to the audience about kids learning. You told me one of the steps is they got to learn how to make their own
robotic hand.
Oh, wow.
So the innovation program has 3 pillars: STEM research, social innovation, entrepreneurship. You know, robotics saved my son's life. I love robotics, but robotics is only going to target a certain segment of our community, right? And so to get a broad approach, we have that approach. And so the kids come into the program, they have to learn how to make a medical device. To just push the syndrome. We partner with Adventist University, Loma Linda University, Open University, and universities. And so these kids are learning competencies, and they're making products. They're starting companies. We've launched about 5 LLCs in the high school.
Wow.
Robert started his own company when he was in high school. The kids have to make a robotic hand. So we have the mechatronics course, the biomechatronics, where they have to make a robotic hand. That's powered by an EMG sensor. They got a CAD design and 3D printed. So we're solving real problems. That's just the foundation. But I've had kids make cosmetics companies, all kinds of things.
You have one kid age group? Age group.
So right now we are K-20. We call it K-20, meaning kindergarten to college. So our vision is to identify young people who are, the word gift has been thrown around too much. I like to use the word talented. Talented young people, and we cultivate them. We have innovation in the scholar program, and we literally can take you from K all the way through college with our partners. Open University is a HBCU. That's where Robert went. And we have partnerships. Some of our kids have gone on to do research at those. We started research in this program. So we're talking about, you know, really creating these pathways. So when you think about education before the Prussian model, which became Germany, by the way, and you wonder how Germany, Hitler was able to brainwash those people. They were already brainwashed by their education system. That's another topic another day. But being able to take them on that journey, and then help them find mentors who are professors, who are business people. So when they say, "Hey, I want to do this," I don't know everything, don't want to know everything, but I know somebody who does.
Right.
I have a young man who wanted to study LiDAR sensors for the autonomous self-driving cars. I know nothing about that.
Nothing.
I say, go on Amazon, buy a sensor, have a parent who's a Lockheed Martin engineer. That person came in and was that person's teacher for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
In my classroom. So we're talking about personalized education. We're talking about taking these kids on that journey. Let me ask you this question. Did Tiger Woods' dad let the PE program in the public school teach his son to be a great golfer?
That's a heck of an example that you about to make.
Yeah, that's a good comparative.
Or did his dad create a shadow education program to teach his son how to be a golfer?
You're absolutely correct. The shadow, you're right. He created it.
And that's what we did for our son. Shadow education. We took education back from the public school system.
Right.
Man.
And we, I'm with my son. Like, I know what his strengths are. I know what he's good at. The teachers don't.
You mentioned earlier that you have a daughter and a son.
Yes.
Are they in?
2 sons, right?
Yeah, 2 sons. So my daughter Ty is in nursing school.
Okay.
At Adventist University, and that was her passion. She loves people. She loves caring for people. But we started the program. She was in it, and like I said, they helped craft this program. Robert got to go with the robotics and personalizing it, but my daughter hated robotics, and I didn't know that until after he graduated. She was in it until he graduated, and it was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
She's like, oh,
she hurt my feelings. I had to pivot. Okay, well, what do you want to do? She wanted to do health, and so she found this thing called a brain-computer interface device you can put on your head, and it reads your brain waves, and you can think and move things. And so she pioneered that whole pathway where we now find out what the kids are interested in. So she was very instrumental in that. And then my youngest son started the company, an LLC, and he kind of brought to us that whole vision of entrepreneurship. We have a physical therapist, Dr. Teresa Young, who came to us with an idea. The kids actually made a prototype. I wish I could tell you what it is today, but they made me sign a non-disclosure agreement. But they actually made a prototype and built a company around that. And so each one of them have helped to kind of craft this program. And we've had so much impact. Robert, his freshman year at Oakland University, went to the NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers. Parents out there, put your kids in that program. Went to an engineering expo. He was determined to get an internship because he didn't want to come home and do my daddy do business. That's how it is when your kids go into college.
He found a way not to come home.
When your kids go into college, and be like, man, I so wish he was here to cut the grass.
Okay, they peeked out again. Guys, go in and turn that sound back up. Sorry about that. But we need to turn the gain down.
This is I'm really learning something. This is
so Doc, we're good.
Mind blowing.
Yeah, turn the gain down though on that channel on the channel.
A few things. I want Robert to jump in here.
Okay.
So he's at the engineering expo and he's trying to get an internship, and they keep telling him we don't hire freshmen because you don't know anything. You just start school, and we only hire the seniors.
Right.
And so he had a backpack, Doc, with everything that he had 3D printed and made all the robots. Walking around this place, pulling stuff out, showing people. He had his resume. I'm not the average freshman. So he has to start exhausted all his options. He goes to the Penn State Applied Research Laboratory, pulls out this robot that he had designed, and bought the parent robot. You want to tell the story, Robert? Go ahead.
Yeah. So this, and again, this is again, this was after, like, you know, I've gone to a bunch of other companies, and all of them, you know, would say, oh, you're a freshman, you don't know anything. So this whole time I was applying the skills I had learned up to this point too, of like from robotics. You're not going to get it right the first time, so you got to tweak every time. And that's another thing school doesn't really hit you on it. You have to, in school, you have to get it right the first time every time, but that's not how life is. So every time I went to another person, it didn't work well, I tweaked my pitch. So by the time I got to Penn State's Applied Research Lab, I gave them my introduction, my major, and what I was doing and what I was interested in, looking for internships. And then they started to say that same thing of, oh, but you know, you're a freshman, you're just starting your classes, you don't have a lot of the experiences that we're looking for. But before I let them finish, I was like, you know, I've let everyone say that every time before, and then try to say, but I was like, let me cut you off. Like my dad was saying, I'm not the average freshman, and I started pulling out my stuff again. And this was projects I was working on in high school. So I had built a quadruped robot. For those who don't know, it's a robot with 4 legs, and it would crawl around a room, and I just have it randomly search the room. So I had pulled that out and showed it to them, and then that's when it changed. They're like, oh, we've never had a freshman do this before. Wow. And then I started, like, they asked me, like, okay, what did you need to do to build this? So I went through, like, I designed it on the computer using CAD, or computer-aided design. And then I mechanized it and then like programmed it using Arduino, which is a microcontroller. And then a lot of that stuff was things that they also use as well. And one of them there's a project they had in mind already that needed the similar skill sets. So after that conversation, again, thankful for my dad for, you know, putting me on that path and kind of giving me those tools and skills, I was able to get that internship for my freshman year.
Wow. Do you know, Mr. Love, what that could do in some of these communities around here? Oh my goodness.
Me and Robert had lunch, and you know, I like to go do lunch. I like that lunch to be 45 minutes so I can get back. When I say we did lunch, I don't know how long we were together, but it was almost, I had to say to Robert, man, we got to go back to work. We got to go, but you know, here's the other thing, and I got to say this. To those parents, to those grandparents, to those communities that you've been told that maybe your child has a learning disorder, you've been told that maybe your child needs to be put on some medication. I'm not going to discount any of that, but what I want to empower you with is the ability to ask the question, why? But I know the other side of that is the listening audience that's watching this saying, how can I get in touch to
Yes.
get engaged?
Yes.
And you can call the Florida Economic Consortium at 407-494-2406, and we can help this partnership. But Robert, what we got to do first is we got to go ahead and figure out how to codify this relationship. But are there any other programs that you're presently providing that people can contact you and get engaged?
Yeah, so if you go to innovusinnovation.com, you can find all the programs we have online. Again, we have the full day program or half day program for parents who are homeschooling their kids.
Okay.
And Step Up is accepted there. A lot of our families are microschooling their kids. A lot of people of color are microschooling them. But they may not
Give
have.
a definition of that.
So microschool is a school that's run out of a home with a few people.
Oh, okay.
And so they may not have the expertise to do the science or the mechatronics. We have 3D printers. So we have a lot of stuff that can supplement or complement your education and help your kids jump into whatever they want to do. With culinary, with AI, we're doing AI, artificial intelligence. So, pretty much whatever research we provided for the kids to do those things. And I do want to say one thing about Robert. At the end of the internship, the director came up to him and said, "You were one of the best interns you've ever had.
Oh, wow.
When you graduate, come back and see me and have a job."
Wow.
Oh, wow.
See, I like the other thing that Robert III did. He had the gumption enough to tell folks, I'm not your ordinary or average anything. And that's the kind of conversation. I gotta give this plug because you mentioned this organization. And I happen to be on the community board of this organization for 7 years until this past November, when this organization saw enough in my contribution being on the community board that they bumped me up to a bigger board. But the organization that I'm speaking of that does a great deal within the community is Advent Health. For those of you who do not know, and you got to be living in a cave if you don't know who Advent Health is and what Advent Health does. It does more than just being a hospital to treat and serve people. It does more than being the emergency room for communities. Advent Health, and I got to say this, and this is how I feel about Advent Health. Advent Health is there. They're filling a gap in communities way beyond just healthcare.
Yeah. And they are a sister organization to us. And so, Advent Health, they're a leader. They're the second largest employer in the state of Florida. Doing community work.
Wow. Yeah, I had to plug that out. But the other piece, and Doc and Ms. Wynn helped me with this. Florida Economic Consortium in partnership with Experience Christian Center in partnership with
21st Century.
Dr. Randy Nelson, world-renowned expert in community engagement, law enforcement engagement. Also partnering with Kenny Smith with
Grace Mar
out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Also, we have Dr. Polite that we're partnering with as well. We got all of the pieces together for this responsible fatherhood initiative for Seminole and Orange County. And Robert, I got to tell you, I'm looking at the optics of your son on the screen. You and I, man, we spent more than an hour. I normally cut the lunches to 45 minutes, but the optics, not just the optics, but let me tell y'all a little something. The person that's sitting next to me has a BS in biology, master's in teaching, doctoral candidate, leadership innovations, Andrews University. And Doc, do y'all see the lineage and the intelligence that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
And Dad probably got some ADD. No, it runs generational, and we're probably, your dad and I are probably the same age. So, I'm probably a little bit older than him. So, during that time, this was not diagnosed. I was told I would never function. I was told that in the second grade. I was put in a slow class for reading because I couldn't read. And this wonderful white lady, her name is Miss Whitaker. I'll never forget her till the day I die. And she's long gone on with the Lord. But I can tell you that lady profoundly changed my life because she took the time one-on-one every Tuesday and Thursday to teach me. And she had this black book. She had this book, Black Beauty. We read that. That was the last book we read together. She signed it. And I had this book until my house burned up in 1993. I carried this book. That book traveled with me all the way around the world. All the way around, everywhere I went, that book went. So, Rod, y'all, your volume turned off, your mic's turned off again. So we got to look at that and see what's going on. But I certainly know that it can be generational, because I see it in my son and my grandson. And my son he's the baby. He's 34, and he has 3 little boys, and they are super active. They are smart. They want to explore everything and that kind of thing. And we already are fighting with the teachers. Oh, well, you need to put him on this. You need to put him on that. No, we need to find out what is his learning style and focus him.
That's right. Yeah, not only the learning style, but what their passion, their interest is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then build that curriculum around that and provide
Yeah.
opportunities.
Right.
Don't rely on the school to do it. You do it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
create your own shadow education program.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Robert III, when will you be coming back to Orlando? Because I would definitely like you to speak to a group of youth around
You're
here.
right.
Well, I'm coming back for Christmas for sure. But it's just let me know dates that work for you guys, and I would love to. I'll drop everything to come up and talk to people.
Robert, let me tell you, we don't have to wait for you to come back, because we have the technology that.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking, man, I want to create a forum that young people, kids, can hear you. And a lot of times they looking at us and saying, "Them old folk can't relate."
Yeah.
But definitely, and with the respect and honoring your father, hey, I gotta ask to get your son in a forum. He doesn't have to come back to Orlando. There's different platforms that we would love for him to talk to other young people.
And that's what we want him to do.
Yeah.
If he didn't share this with you today, but he will tell you that he thought he was dumb in the 2nd grade.
See, that's what these young kids need to hear.
And then he will say that he realized he wasn't dumb after robotics. And he said robotics pulled something out of him that he didn't know he had, parents.
Yes.
And he realized he was smart, but in a different way, a way that's not engaged in the traditional classroom. So we have to do something.
I think the parents need to be on
parents, but then think about, Doc, think about the young people that are going through the juvenile detention center and that would benefit in the taxpayer dollars that would be saved from redirecting these young people. Man, we could go on and talk about this all day. I do want to give another shameless plug to Advent Health. There is going to be the Heart and Soul benefit that's taking place at Judson's Live September the 12th. And this is a benefit for the Heart, Lung, and Vascular Institute for Advent Health, of which Mr. Robert will be joining me at. And the reason, I'm going to tell you, the networking that takes place at those functions can be used as a platform. We're talking about communities that need it. Advent Health has been doing a great job in looking at how do we make healthcare more accessible. Well, the same thing that you're doing with basically molding the minds, piquing the interest of young people. It's going to be a platform for you to engage. Advent Health, once again, the Heart and Soul event that's taking place at Judson's Live September the 12th, which is this Thursday coming up. If you haven't gotten tickets, hey, here's an opportunity. You can contact my office. I'll steer you in the right direction. 407-494-2406. We got to bring this to a close, and I almost hate to do that, but I'm going to pivot back to the father, but I want the son. Hey, Robert III, if you would, man, if you had to inspire young people and lend them some words to help them navigate, what would you say to them?
There's a lot. I wish I could tell myself, and I know I'd love to tell everyone, but I think biggest thing, try to make it short and sweet, is just, find your passions and use that to encourage yourself in school. So, whether it's you want to start a company, or you want to go into fashion, or if you want to be, I'm biased, so I'll say engineering is definitely something everyone should do, but that's just me. But just find how you can, I mean, all fields you'll need, figure out how like your math classes can apply, especially how English can apply, and use that. And that'll definitely, at least for me, help me get through some of those classes as well.
Got a lot of
And the last,
your passion.
Yes.
Hey, and I have to pivot to you, Robert. What would you say to the community? What would you say to people that want to come to the table and help, but also, again, let people know how they can contact you?
Yeah, first thing, it takes a village. That's number one, because we had a lot of mentors that stepped in to help Robert. That's number one. And so when someone calls you about something, answer your call. Okay, you were not placed on this earth to keep to yourself. God gave you a purpose, and your purpose is to help other people. He wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the other people also that stuff.
Wow.
Today. I just want to say he works with Solar Turbine. Where do you work, Robert? Say it right quick. Where you work?
Solar Turbines in San Diego, California.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the other thing, parents, take your education of your kids back. Don't give up on your kids.
Yes.
God
Yes.
has given every single child a
Yes.
gift, a purpose in life. I don't care if they can't read, if they are bad, or they're bullying. Those are gifts. Those are talents. Find out what it is and make sure that your child is successful. And again, you can reach us at the innovusinnovation.com and come by. We have programs for you and your kids. I say you, we will teach you how to identify this in your kid and help you build that program so that your child is successful.
Wow.
Hey, the sit down is always about building blocks. I gotta say this before we sign off, because this is about networking. This is about helping people. President of the AACCC, which is the umbrella of faith-based organizations, to the president, Bishop Derek McCray, we have to get the ministerial alliance so that they can hear what Mr. Robert has to say. I'm going to give a shout out to Pastor Richard King, who is the president of the South Apopka Ministerial Alliance. I'm going to say to you, Pastor King, we need to have Mr. Robert Henley come and address the alliance so that he can educate the leadership of communities. And I will say I'm biased. I believe the foundation and the leadership starts with the faith community. And so once again, I want to thank both you and your son for joining us on the sit down. I apologize for some of the technical difficulties. Our engineer is sick, so Rod Love had to be the sound engineer tonight, but we got Dr. Light. He knows how to navigate. But once again, for the viewing audience, thank you for tuning in. This is a gold mine right here.
In our own backyard.
In our own backyard. So with that being said, I tune in to the sit down every Monday from 6 to 6:45. Dr. Light, Ms. Wynn, thank you for just contributing to this. But I got to thank the Henleys. So, hey, you'll definitely be welcome back. Hey, Robert III, you already committed, so we got you on video.
Yes.
Contacting you.
And Robert, man, thank you. I appreciate it. Tune in next week to the sit down. We love to have you.